All right, so I have put the answers here for this table. Note that I also noted some other points besides the origin 0, 0 on each of the graphs. So like over here, 0, 0 is a point on each of these as well. But each of these functions also goes through 1, 1, and you can always tell when a point is on a graph because if you take the x value 1 and plug it into the function, so in this case, the parent graph is x squared. So if we plug 1 in, then the output is 1, and so that means the y value is 1. So when we plug 1 in for x, we get 1. And that's the case for each of these. So if you need to transform, you can always use that point. Okay, now for these transformations, we're transforming the parent function f to graph each graph g below. This first graph here, the plus 2, means we're going to the left because it's inside, so it's the opposite. And the minus 1 means we're going down because it's on the outside. So we're going to take each point and move it left 2 and down 1. So I'm going to start at negative 4 and move it left 2 and down 1. Then I'm going to start at negative 2, negative 2, move it left 2 and down 1. Then I'm going to start at 0, 0, move it left 2 and down 1. And then I'm going to start at 2, 2, move it left 2 and down 1. And start at 4, 0, move it left 2 and down 1. You can also subtract 2 from the x values and 1 from the y values and plot the points, but it's usually just easier to move it. This one here is a reflection over the x-axis because it's outside. So that means we're going to change all of the y values. We're reflecting over the x-axis, which is this. So every value here is going to go down this way, or it's going to go back up. So we're changing the y values from positive to negative or negative to positive. So here, the 0.40, 0 is the y value, and it's on the x-axis, so it's going to stay in the same place because 0 doesn't change sign. But up here, the 0.22, it is going to be reflected over the x-axis, so it's going to go down here. So if we graph that on the graph, it's going to be 2, negative 2. So we're changing the sign of the y value. 0, 0 will stay the same because it's on the x-axis, and there's no y value. 0 doesn't have a sign to change. The point negative 2, 2 is going to go up here, and it's going to go up to negative 2, positive 2, because the y value will change to positive 2. And then we have negative 4, 0. So this graph will look like this. Over here, we're going to reflect over the y-axis because the negative is inside. And then we will have a horizontal compression of 1/2 because it's the opposite because it's inside. Horizontal compression by 1/2. So you can either do it to the individual points or you can graph it. So if I do it to the individual points, let's take the point 40 first. When I reflect over the y-axis, that's going to change the x value to negative. And then when I horizontally compress by 1/2, that is going to multiply the x value by 1/2. So that'll be negative 2, 0. If I take the value 2, 2, and I reflect over the y-axis, so I'll show you what it looks like on the graph too. So let's look at this on the graph. So if I take the point 2, 2, and reflect over the y-axis, that's going over here to this side. And then I horizontally compress by 1/2. I'm going to multiply the x value 1/2, so it's going to move it into negative 1 right there. Which if we look at the point, we're going to first change the x value to negative 2, 2. That's the reflection over the y-axis. And then for a horizontal compression, we're going to multiply the x value by 1/2, so that'll be negative 1, 2. So that's the point that we just graphed. Excuse me. So you're welcome to look at the graph or the points. It's all personal preference. If we take the point 0, 0, change the y value, reflect over the y-axis, it's not going to move because it's on the y-axis. So that'll still be 0, 0. And then if we horizontally compress and multiply the x value by 1/2, we still get 0, 0. So it's literally just going to stay there. the point -2, -2 to reflect over the y-axis is going to change the x value to +2. So if I was over here at -2, -2, I'm switching over the y-axis because this is the y-axis. So I'm switching over to this side, to the point 2, -2. But then I also want to compress the x value by 1/2. So multiply by 1/2 and we get 1, -2. So that's going to bring it in closer because the x value is now decreased by 1/2. And then lastly, -4, 0. We're going to change the x value to +4. So if it was over here, it's now going to move over to the other side. And then we're going to multiply the x value by 1/2. So that'll be 2, 0. So it's going to move it in closer. So we have now